Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. I want to zoom in and focus in a little bit more in depth on how a narcissist or a psychopath will try to control, manipulate, and overwhelm others, interrupt the natural flow, the natural happiness, the natural element, really sort of that life purpose or the natural spirit within those individuals in their life who they are targeting a supply through fear-based, through paranoia messages, the suspicion, the shame-based. They will use the tool of fear, paranoia, and suspicion in order to create an overwhelm or a feeling of authority within the supply who they target in their life. And when we talk about supply, we're talking about those individuals whom a narcissist will target, who they will focus on, who they will interact with, who they will have conversations with, who they will pursue in their environment in order to gauge the reaction of. To assess, they will constantly monitor and assess your reaction. Almost in terms of almost like a capture, a psychological capture, if you will. Seeing how you flinch, seeing how you react, seeing how you are stunned, seeing if they can control your reactions, control and have a negative fear-based impact and impulse with you in your life to sort of really derail you, take you out of your element, take you out of your natural flow, take you out of your natural instinct, which is really all men and women have. That your natural instinct, your intuition, your gut instinct, your natural self-trust, self-belief, your feeling of congruency, oneness in your life, feeling that you're doing something positive, you're playing a positive role in life. Whether it's helping people, helping animals, helping industry, helping nature. Usually most people are doing something positive. They're making a positive contribution in some way to life at large, either as a microcosm in their in their community or a macrocosm in the world. And now the narcissist will seek to gauge your reaction if they can take you out of that positive purpose which you are meant to follow in your life, which is really your natural and talents. If you think of like an oak tree or an acorn or an oak tree or a maple tree, they all have a seed. Any flower has a specific seed. They all have a mini embryo. If you've ever taken a walk in a forest or a garden, you know that a plant will start as a seed and then an embryo, and then it'll begin to expand and grow. Your life is very much the same way. Your internal drive, your internal talent is like that seed. You have something inherently about you, which is your life purpose, which is your interest, which is your passion, where your heart is. And the psychopath, the narcissist, tries to get into your mind. The analytical, self-judging, critical part of you, which tries to bring up logic and enforce this logic, a negative sort of fear-based assessment messages upon your life so that you're disengaged, disconnected from your heart and your mind. So they're the negative messages, which are fear-based, which will serve as a distraction basically and override your natural instincts. So we call this, a boundary violation. We call this basically, it can be termed brainwashing, gaslighting, where they use a lot of fear to cause you to be thrown out of balance. You get into the fight or flight, where you have to act out of urgency to take care of them, answer their messages, answer up to them, their quote-unquote superior stance, their authority. And the fear-based, which sends really an electrical current through your body, through your sympathetic nervous system, through your automatic nervous system, then your adrenals. The stress hormones begin to be released, the cortisol, the adrenalines. They begin pumping, and you begin to get on hypervigilance, a hyperdrive, if you will. And this is good for short periods of time, in spurts of time, but it's not good chronically, because the stress hormones are very degenerative in nature. In other words, they overwhelm the system. They put it on overdrive. It's too much. It creates too much wear and tear on the emotional body. And then, as you know, your emotions and your body are basically interwoven. It's not like your emotions exist only right here in your heart or only right here in your mind. They exist in your entire being. They exist in all of your cells. Your cells are all interrelated, whether it's the cells in your toe, the cells in your shoulder, the cells in your digestion. Your body is one interconnected being, and the fear-based is how a narcissist tries to intercept you, distract you. And I talk about, kind of like life intercepted. It's almost like a football where they, your life purpose is coming at you, and you're meant to grab it and run with it and follow it and follow your dreams, and you have it. The narcissist is kind of like, no, you don't. I have it. And then they try to convince you that they have the ball, and then you have to go in pursuit of them to get your life purpose back, because they sort of have this feeling like they're better than you. They have the right perspective. They have the right opinion. They have something that you don't. And so it's that fear base, is that envy. They try to create a need within you, which inherently probably doesn't exist. And that fear that you don't know, that you don't have, that you don't feel, that you're worthless, all those sort of negative messages that they try to keep, within, and then you're constantly feeling like you have a hollowed out feeling within you. And then here's that paranoia where the negative messages, well, they will, pathologically lie, give you negative messages. Oh, look at this, so-and-so is throwing you under the bus, the smear campaigns, the splitting, the talking about you behind your back. Can you believe, he or she did this? They're throwing you under the bus here. You're in trouble now. All these negative messages, which are created and fabricated to create a paranoia. And then, you're then feeling like that is then directing and controlling your life. And oftentimes it has nothing to do with reality. It has everything to do with a narcissist trying to control you, gauge your reactions, and then slowly but surely get you off track in your life so that they can control you and have you as their supply, where they derive really a sick pleasure from controlling and having power and exploiting others, especially those who are vulnerable. Those who are vulnerable are those people who have a heart, who have empathy, who don't want to see suffering increase in the world. So those people who have a heart oftentimes are possess the very qualities with which a narcissist is not possessed. So if they can surround themselves with people who they can control, they feel like they have the power of 5, the power of 10, the power of 20, who the narcissist has under control to manipulate their emotions. And basically then once they have that control, they're able to get you basically where they want you. And the sad and sadistic thing especially with the psychopath, if we look on the spectrum, is the psychopath will delight in the suffering of others. So they will delight in the devastation of others. So in other words, if they have left you in financial ruins, emotional ruins, sick, crippled, without a job, without a family, they very much have a very deliberate and calculating sort of negative message. It's very they're called the intraspecies predator. In other words, like a lion will go for a gazelle, they'll feed on that animal, and really, its death is what they live off of. And a psychopath is very much the same way, but on a psychic or emotional or spiritual level, where they delight in the plotting of the takedown of others, whether it's to see you unhappy, to see you stuck, to see you crippled, to see you unable to function, to see you weak, to see you limping, to see you sobbing, to see you broken down, to see you distraught. It gives them a sense of pleasure. I do not play video games, but there are video games where people, play these games and then they, take down the opponent. And they very much serve like that. In other words, they keep playing with their target. In other words, to see what more that they can do to cause the suffering. And because they don't have a heart, because they don't have empathy, they very much take pleasure in the destruction of others. So it's as if they have a sense of relation to you. Since they can't have a healthy relationship, they have a very unhealthy, toxic relationship where instead of having love and respect and honoring of boundaries and honoring of your uniqueness and your personality, instead of having that sort of healthy relationship where it's productive, healthy, you're growing together, you laugh together, you have a knowledge of each other, and there's not a violation there. There's an enhancement. There's that growth, like the tree, the seed. The narcissist and the psychopath, especially as you get more on the spectrum of the psychopath, because they can't relate, because they don't have a conscience, because they don't have a heart, and they don't have that same emotional connection to others, they relate to others through destruction, through taking them down, through a psychological takeover, through seeing hurt that they have inflicted on you. They feel a sense of relation or accomplishment or connection with those people with whom they have hurt. So it's kind of like it's a replacement for having relationships. So if they can hurt, maim, control, that's how they connect to others. That's how they get what they need, whether it's a parasitic off of your emotions, deriving some sort of pleasure or nutrient or energy out of seeing you down, seeing you unhappy, seeing you flinch, seeing you react. They derive a sort of sick, sadistic delight or pleasure out of that. And that's something that I can't relate to, but that is how this type of individual connects with their world at large. They don't have the same humanity. They don't have that, I want to make a positive contribution. It's really the other direction that they have in their life. It's like, what can I do to take, destroy, and leave, wrangled, destroyed, like a torn up pair of jeans. How can they make more holes? How can they ravage? How can they destroy and devastate? Because then they feel a sense of power, control, and domination, and they derive pleasure. They feel good about that. And so if you have encountered this, I feel so very horrible that you've had to encounter this. But realize that it is that fear-based where they seek to destroy. So now moving forward and looking ahead, when you're able to identify those individuals who put the fear-based seed, who put the paranoia seed, who put the triangulation seed, who do the splitting seed, the cognitive dissonance, try to make you afraid, create a paranoia, a suspicion, that sort of fear-based, know that that is a method, a tool, and a seed of a toxic individual to try to control you. Do not take the seed. Do not take the hook. Do not take the fear. Let it wash away. Identify it for what it is, and just let it go back to that person. Do not participate. Do not take part in that emotion, and do not fall for that negative fear-based hook, seed, or thought. Like let it just go away. Don't falter for it. Don't buy into it. That is not you're not meant to live in that state of paranoia, fear, anxiety, and depression. It's peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.